ArrayInsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today and widespread smoke with a high near 87. Tonight, cloudy with a low around 62. And Thursday, sunny with a high around 83. From the bright personalities to the bold flavors, 30 Bales in Hopkins is the perfect gathering spot for anyone looking for a taste of the Midwest. Whether you're stopping by for a quick drink or settling in for a leisurely meal, you'll find plenty to love at 30 Bales. Located at 1106 Main Street in Hopkins, more at 30bales.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Wednesday. Matt and Brett here today. Thanks to Todd for filling in for me yesterday. How did things go? I noticed the burn marks. What's up with that?
They went well. It was funny. We were talking.
It was like a Canadian wildfire in this place. What's going on, man?
Maybe he was the cause. Yeah.
I'm Beelzebub. I'm filling in for Matt today. Nice to have you with us. But things went well.
Yeah, I think so. We were just joking that you've missed both of Trump's arraignment days. You've been gone. Maybe you're testifying.
Well, it's actually, you know what? My priorities are right in check. If you notice today, what am I wearing?
Oh, there you go. UMD.
A UMD. My daughter had I didn't watch baseball game. Yeah, now that would be pretty bad for me. I'm going to skip the game. They got UMD's playing University of Wisconsin lacrosse and baseball. I can't miss it. No, that's not why I was up there. My daughter had orientation day for college, and my oldest daughter started in college this year. So I was up in Duluth. Beautiful day. God, it was gorgeous up there yesterday. 82 degrees, beautiful sunshine.
82 in Duluth.
It doesn't. It was nice, and the campus is really cute. Have you ever been? Yeah, you've been to UMD, right?
Not UMD, no.
You've never been up on the campus itself?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, it's a cute little campus. It's a nice little area. It's hard for me because I'm thinking to myself, my little baby is going away. One of those things. But I got to tell you, I was very impressed with UMD. I liked it a lot up there. I thought a nice little college. It did a nice little presentation, and we got all the information we can. And of course, I ransacked the UMD gift shop. Thank you very much. And I've got myself some now UMD Bulldog gear because it's not Bemidji State. I can't follow Bemidji State. I can follow the Gophers. I love my Golden Gophers. When it comes to hockey, you got to respect UMD. They've had a pretty good program up there. And they're very quick. During the orientation, they're very quick. By the way, students get into all the sports for free, but not hockey. No, not hockey. Oh, no. That's our brand.
Oh, really? They accept hockey? I guess that makes sense.
You have to pay for hockey, man.
Yeah.
That's the big boy down at the deck. But no, everything else, it's a cute college. I'm looking for it. I'm excited for her. It was a delight. Can I also bring up this point? I left yesterday morning to go up to Duluth at about 6 a.m. And I went from the west side up north, basically went 169, 694, 35, shot from there all the way up. Yesterday, I came back at 4:30, actually. I started hitting the metro. Came back basically the same exact route, 35W to 694 to 169. Can all you people who are saying, it's a ghost town, shut up. Dear Lord, as a guy that stared at traffic cameras for years, that's as bad as I ever saw it out there. I don't know where they're going. They might not be going to the office, but they're going somewhere. Is there a good donut shop I don't know about everyone is going to? Have you tried to drive in rush hour traffic lately?
It seems, over the past 2 years, maybe fall of 21, I noticed, traffic's starting to kind of get back up to normal levels. It was nice for about one of the only few benefits we had was traffic was relatively low in 20 and 21. Now it's back.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. And I have it's part of the city. It comes with the great restaurants and the overwhelming amount of Canadian smoke. But it is, and our lakes. We got a lot of good things here, but stop arguing. No one's going anywhere. What are you talking about, man? And the way I had it, 694 yesterday was easy compared to a friend of mine that had to go 94 through the downtowns. That's when you get people getting creative up on like Snelling or not Snelling up on Summit, Mach 9ing it down there on Selby and University there. Because like, one way through the Midway, it's one way there. No, I wouldn't advise that. I would not advise you to do that. That's not safe. That's how mistakes get made, people. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Speaking of mistakes getting made. So I come on back and okay. It's predictable. I gotta go here. I gotta go here. Because of the outrage. We're the victims. I heard all last week from the Republican Party of Minnesota when the head of the Minneapolis DFL made the insensitive comment about Reagan on the day. Was it his birth or the day he died? It was the day he died. I think it was the day he died, right?
I think it was the day he died, correct, yeah.
Yeah. And I believe you were here. You've heard me multiple times say, I do not believe in dancing on people's graves. I just don't, unless it's the worst people that have ever lived. I don't necessarily believe in dancing on people's graves. Generally doesn't do you. I mean, makes you look bad, and all it makes it not. I would not do that. But the Republican, clutching their pearl. Oh my, where's my fainting couch? Oh my God. They were wounded. They were wounded by this attack because, as they have said, they don't go down these roads, Matt. They don't go down these roads. They're decent, honest people. Funny story. No, they're not. The Minnesota DFL party on Tuesday condemned the Scott County chapter of the Republican Party of Minnesota for a Facebook post comparing President Joe Biden to Hitler. Yes, that Hitler. And Joseph Stalin. Yes, that's Stalin. The Scott County GOP's post included images of Hitler, Stalin, Mao Zedong, and Biden, labeling them all leaders who have had their political opponents arrested. DFL party chair Ken Martin noted in a statement that former President Donald Trump wasn't indicted by Biden, but by a jury of his peers for jeopardizing the national security. I'll get back to that. I'll get back to that little moment here in a second. The Scott County GOP, I mean, if you're really going to put this up there, I mean, you've got to be a stupid individual. I mean, brick dumb, rock stupid to put something up like this. I mean, you really have to be. I mean, you really just have. You can't even tell if the lights are on in the room. You've got to be that dumb. You really do. Hey, they've declined to comment to the Star Tribune, saying it may release a statement on social media instead of in the next week. Is this taking you this long? Last week, the state's GOP similarly blasted the chair of Minneapolis DFL for mocking Reagan's death. In a statement on Tuesday, Minnesota GOP, and I want to give the Minnesota GOP credit here on this, just on the statewide party, not the Scott County GOP. I mean, stupid, but the statewide party. Mike Lonergan said there is no question the Scott County Post was uncalled for. Such rhetoric has no place in our political discourse. We have asked the Scott County Party unit to remove the post in question, said Lonergan, which is the right thing to do. By the way, as of 1:30 this afternoon, still up there. Still up there. So, first of all, stop. I mean, I've called you a bunch of idiots, and I guarantee you, am I about to get that big old meaty Matt McNeil? He called us stupid. Let's compare him to Hitler. Is that what you're going to do? Because it reminds me of the best joke ever from Frasier. Niles is talking to Frasier, and he says, "Don't call me short-tempered. You know how angry that makes me." Still the best joke ever on Frasier. Oh, I was crying. I was laughing so hard on that one. So this is where we're at. But it does bring me an opportunity to take a few minutes here to point out a few things to the Scott County GOP, if they can stop drooling long enough to, actually listen, which requires your ears. Use your ears, not mouth. Don't listen with your mouth. Your ears, 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 ears. Okay, you got it. All right, good. Your party, after 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 investigations. Well, actually, if I may, 8 investigations into Benghazi. 6 investigations, I think it was 6. No, excuse me, it was 3. 3 investigations into the Clinton Foundation. And 4 pre-Trump presidency investigations into Hillary Clinton's email, which all of those investigations found she had done nothing wrong, rallied around Trump with the argument of lock her up, even though we all knew she hadn't done anything wrong. You guys all fantasized about locking up your political opponent. That's a truth. That's a fact. That's reality. You were applauding it. You loved it, even though we knew she hadn't done anything wrong. Funny story. In the years after Trump took office, his administration twice investigated Hillary Clinton emails. Jeff Sessions, the attorney general at the time in 2017, investigated, found no wrongdoing. But that wasn't enough because Donald Trump still kept bringing it up. Where's her emails? Even after the 5th investigation showed she had done nothing wrong. So he turned his State Department and weaponized his State Department to go after Hillary Clinton. And the State Department came back and said, there's no crime here. Donald Trump is in trouble. What does he do? He screams, Hillary Clinton's emails. And even though you dim bulb idiots have had 6 full investigations showing that she hasn't done anything wrong, you still are, lock her up. But I'll put that out there just to kind of, expose the fact that you're massive freaking hypocrites when it comes to this stuff, accusing anyone else. And I'll go back to what Ken Martin said. This wasn't Joe Biden. Joe Biden didn't wake up one day and go, we're going to indict her. As a matter of fact, the special counsel went and convened a grand jury in Miami by Mar-a-Lago, specifically to get out of Washington, D.C., so no one could question the grand jury and their findings. We'll talk to Jack Rice about that a little bit later on. So, this is you desperately want to turn this, but that's the point, kind of the point. You want to have to. You have to make this political because he's guilty as hell. That's what it is. So you're turning this into something that it's not because you have no defense for his behavior. This is the whole point. I mean, he's admitted it. I don't know what you guys have missed the multiple times he's admitted to taking these secret documents, the multiple times he's bragged about it, the multiple times he's talked about showing people these things, the photos of that bathroom and the ballroom with, by the way, the news story today that Mar-a-Lago was looking for an exception to hire 400 foreign workers to work at Mar-a-Lago while all those boxes were just lying around Mar-a-Lago. 400 foreign workers. That's insane.
As we talked about before, that's like the easiest spy movie ever.
It's like
easiest spy mission.
Here's what I want you to do. This is just your standard deduction form because we got you a job over there. And just apparently the boxes are just there. So during a break time, no one's in there. Just walk in there, just photocopy. No one's going to do anything. Go to the bathroom, lock the door. They don't even know what's going on in there. It's a chandelier. Enjoy it. No, he's admitted to the crime repeatedly. And he has to go into court and says, I'm not guilty. After he said, I'm guilty, I don't care. And what does he say? He says, it's Hillary Clinton's emails. We had that. Well, you investigated him twice and didn't find anything wrong. So there's nothing there. But because you're so desperate to make him innocent and you're so desperate to turn this into something political, that's where you're at. But if I can, let me actually take another step back here and point out what they're really doing here. Now, when I rip on someone like ZZ Flop, Wessenberg, right? I don't have to reach for the Hitler or the Stalin, seasoning mix. I just can say, what was this with you and screaming at teachers in your office, dude? what was it? Was it who was it? Was it Drazkowski? Who was the one that said that the kitty litter thing? Just when I was like, what is it? I don't have to compare you to the worst of humanity. I can just point to your stuff that you do, and it's pretty stupid. You guys always have to turn everything into the greatest injustice of all time. But you see, that's telling. It tells us everything about you and why you're really doing this. Republicans know that Donald Trump is trash. They know it. They know he's despicable. They love him for it. He tells them they can be racist. They tells them they can be bigoted. They can tell them that they're not to blame for their own mistakes in their life. It's everyone else. And it's leading the rats out of Ireland. That's what it is. And that's why they're so unflinching in their support, is because they want to dive into this ugliness. And the idea of not being able to do that anymore, and the idea that basically that they would lose that, is terrifying to them. They cannot, they refuse to look in the mirror and say, I'm to blame for my own problems. It has to be someone else. That is your standard Republican right now. They know Trump is absolute garbage. That's why they always have to elevate their comparisons to the other side to the levels of Hitler, Stalin, Dracula, zombie Dracula. I mean, that's what they have to do. That's what they have to do. They have to find the worst in history and, he's Hitler, until the next guy, he's even more worse than Hitler. And then he's even more worse than Hitler. And they don't even hear themselves because this is where they have to go to make Donald Trump look like the hero. They have to basically turn their opponent into the worst the world has ever seen to make Donald Trump's stench slightly odoriferous. That's what it is. And that's all it is. They know he's garbage. This is who they are. This is who they are. Now, I might suggest to all the Jewish groups of the metro area and the state of Minnesota, you might want to head on down to the Scott County GOP's Facebook page and ask them, hey, why is Hitler still up on your page? I don't know. They might have an answer. A few you can tell, red ass Republicans are like, never apologize. You guys are a delight. But I would say this, because Hitler was Hitler. And I'm consistent. I have been critical of Democrats who have used the term Hitler, and the overwhelming amount of times Republicans have used Hitler. You don't use Hitler. Why? Because Hitler was Hitler. And when you do, especially for small things that you're turning into mountains from your little molehills, is you're diminishing what Hitler did, which was slaughter millions of people. Stop it. I don't know. I think I pegged it pretty good. It's nice to be back. You take a day off. Sometimes you go you have to stretch a little bit before the show, but you okay with that?
I think so. Yeah. With sound like some great people with the Scott County.
Yes. Guys, whatever you do not look up when it's right. Never mind. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. And this is Scott County. You think this is going to fly in Scott County? It's not like Renville County or Lincoln County, for God's sakes. Good luck with all that. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, Twin Cities. This is Andy Otto, Executive Director of Twin Cities Pride. I'd like to personally invite you to this year's Pride Festival in Loring Park and the Sculpture Garden. We're proud to offer something for everyone. With more artists, over 50 food vendors, an expanded pet area, and new this year, an expanded senior space. We want our community seniors to make connections. So we've created a space just for them. With a huge tent, fans, cool water, and activities like bingo and yoga. We have displays from the LGBTQ+ walking history on site. We are hosting a free Saturday morning breakfast for seniors at 9 a.m., 1 hour before the park opens. We've also expanded our youth zone, which will feature arts and crafts, a performance stage, and a free clothing exchange program we're calling Rainbow Wardrobe. We're aiming to make 2023 the biggest, most inclusive festival yet. Mark your calendars, June 23rd through the 25th. Visit tcpride.org for more information, and I will see you there.
I love my Toyota vehicles, so when it's time for me to get my service done, there's only one place I go, Rudy Luther Toyota. They know Toyotas inside and out. It starts with them checking your alignment and tire treads with their Hunter Quick Check Drive inspection service. Oil changes, tires, batteries, wipers, no matter what you need done, they can help you with reliable Toyota parts and the best service team in Minnesota. Check out their website, rudyluthertoyota.com, for service and part specials just for Toyota vehicles. Get your Toyota serviced at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Hey, it's Tom. Going solar is a great way to save on energy costs. By using the sun to power your house, you can feel good about an investment that will last for years. All Energy Solar is a locally trusted turnkey solar installer that's been around since 2009. They provide custom designs and quality installations of solar panel systems that work for your energy needs. One of the best parts about going solar is it's an investment that can pay for itself. Your system can pay back 100% of the installation cost in as little as 8 years. Plus, the system from All Energy Solar can pay back over 300% of its cost over its lifetime. There's also many tax incentives and rebates available, and the experts at All Energy Solar can walk you through the entire process to make sure you're saving as much as possible. So go green, both financially and environmentally, with All Energy Solar. Get a free, no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com.
Billboard, baby, do a leap and make them dance when they come on. Everybody looking for a dance floor to run on.
If you want to run away with me, I know what
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. Stein, hopefully from the road. I think he's in Cedar Rapids today. I'm guessing eating corn or something. I don't. Is it his day to drive the truck? I don't know. 952-946-6205. Can I want to make sure I remind everyone of something that happened here, which we all seem to have just kind of skipped on past. Hey, I love Taylor Swift. Tay-Tay is fantastic. Big fan. Actually am. I think she's actually magnificent. I really do. And I'm not even this late millennial, early generation Zer that basically worships her. I think she's actually got an amazing amount of talent. That's why I tried to get tickets for my daughter to go see her when she was coming to town. And it did not go over well. And lately, there's been a lot of stories here about, plucky dad reunites with daughter with Taylor Swift. And will they have like streetcar lines running late in Minneapolis with Taylor Swift's concert? I mean, I don't know what's going on. Needless to say, it is, there's a lot of these things where we kind of want to skip past what seems to have happened with Ticketmaster and Taylor Swift. It seems like, I'm not saying this is what happened, but it sure seems like they torpedoed their own sale of the number one artist on the planet so they could sell 60% of the tickets in the off-market category for 10 to 15 times more than the face value. And we shouldn't just skip past that, because that sure seems like what Ticketmaster did. And sure, you can go catch Nickelback in Topeka for $25. That was we're going to make this right. No, actually, no, you're not. And nothing is Nickelback. I actually like Nickelback. But no, that doesn't make it right. I was there. I watched what happened. It was clear something was going on. But here's the crazy part. I know lots, and I've said this before, lots of wealthy people seem to have had no problem getting tickets that day. And I can't quite figure out how this happened. Was that pre-sale? I've asked a few people, and one or two said they had codes and stuff like this, and I don't quite know. But it sure seems like what they said was, screw the middle class, screw the lower class, that we're going to basically take these tickets, make them available only to the highest bidder, and that's the price. If you want to see Taylor, that's the price you have to pay. That's what if you want to see Tay-Tay. Now, I do not think Taylor Swift was any part of this. I would hope not. My God. I would hope that she's not. I don't think that this seems to be a Ticketmaster thing, but they did when John Oliver did the thing on Ticketmaster on Last Week Tonight. He did say that a lot of this stuff is done with the consent of the artists, when he talked about some of this stuff out there. And so would I be surprised if someone from Taylor's team might have been part of something like this? I don't know. We still do not have an answer of what happened outside of, well, gee willikers, who knew that a lot of people wanted to go see Taylor Swift? Really? It seems really stupid. I went up today because people say, don't worry, Matt, as you get closer to the concert, the price tickets will get a little cheaper. It's $1,000 just to get in the door per ticket. $1,000 to get in the door. If you want anything with any decent seat, you're looking at $2,000 to $3,000. So I could either take my child to Australia for a week. Think about this. I want you to wrap this around your mind. I could either take my child to a week in Australia, beaches, down under, Barbies and shrimp, all that good stuff. The Outback, go see it all. Or I could go to one concert for 4 hours in Minneapolis. Come on. I will say this. You need to break up Ticketmaster or Live Nation. Is it Live Nation now is their official name?
I think so. Yeah, they like changing their name. So we.
If you've screwed up your brand so much, you got to change your name. Maybe you should look in the mirror. Okay. But I imagine you can't because of the piles of cash that are blocking it. Apparently that's where everyone stores their money nowadays, in the bathroom, I guess. I don't know. I still don't have the answer. We don't have the answer outside of, well, dear, there was that one algorithm. Oh, my God. And by the way, we've sold so many tickets on the secondary market, we really don't care. I think I want to say that because this is, as a parent, as a child who looks more and more longingly out the window as we get closer to this damn concert, I know I'm not alone. And it might make me feel a little bit better if we actually had some consequences for the executive jackasses at that ticketing company who basically screwed over America. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. It ain't going to happen. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Just have the damn concert and get out of town. Stop talking about, don't get cutesy. And like I said, I want to be very clear. I don't think Taylor Swift has any idea about this. I really don't. I just think that this is just plain old-fashioned greed, and someone said, there's a cash cow we are going to hook our wagon to. And they did. 952-946-6205. Stein, when we do return, I'm going to guess he's going to be denying that Trump did anything wrong. Bathroom box storage is a normal thing. We'll talk to him when we come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Another recovering heart. I wasn't even gonna try. You wouldn't even give the time.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Hey, John, I heard you're turning 65 this year. Time to start comparing your Medicare insurance options.
Oh, I am so overwhelmed with all the different Medicare companies and plan designs. I don't even know where to begin.
Really? I worked with CompareYourMedicare.com, and they made my Medicare decision seem easy.
Huh, really? Well, what do they do?
CompareYourMedicare.com represents several of the top Medicare insurance companies in Minnesota. A local licensed agent will help you compare Medicare plans to determine which products best meet your needs and budget.
Wow, that sounds a lot easier than going to a bunch of different Medicare seminars on my own.
Way easier. Just go to CompareYourMedicare.com and request a free, no-obligation review. You can even schedule a virtual consultation from the comfort of your own home.
Hi, this is Jared with CompareYourMedicare.com. We pride ourselves in serving our community's Medicare needs. Whether you're planning to retire early or work past age 65, we can guide you through how and when to apply for Medicare. Go to compareyourmedicare.com to schedule a consultation.
Tune in this Saturday morning right here on AM 950 for the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. We're discussing how you can grow watermelon in your backyard, as well as what to do with all that zucchini that you soon will be harvesting. Our guest is bird expert Laura Elkerson, and we'll answer your garden questions. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Tell a friend and let's grow together.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today and widespread smoke with a high near 87. Tonight, cloudy with a low around 62. And Thursday, sunny with a high around 83. From the bright personalities to the bold flavors, 30 Bales in Hopkins is the perfect gathering spot for anyone looking for a taste of the Midwest. Whether you're stopping by for a quick drink or settling in for a leisurely meal, you'll find plenty to love at 30 Bales. Located at 1106 Main Street in Hopkins, more at 30bales.com.
Jeff. Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Jeff Stein's our national and presidential expert. Noted author. You find his books over at Next Chapter Books and TotallyIowa.com. The Iowa Business Report, the Iowa Politics Report. Come to us from KXEL in Cedar Falls, Waterloo, where Jeff is not today. Where are you right now?
Well, I'm actually helping some former executive office officials rearrange boxes of documents in their bathrooms.
Who hasn't had that happen? I mean, my gosh. I mean, I try to keep them away from the bathtub because of, spillage, but usually, it is usually dry in the bathroom.
Well, and if you really work it right, you can go about 5 boxes high in the bathtub because you've got that perimeter wall on the outside. Anyway, where I'm at, I am actually at Cedar Rapids, Iowa, at the Iowa Association of Business and Industry Conference, doing live broadcasts, interviews for my syndicated business program, and made sure we kept time to make this appointment because it's Wednesday at 3:30. In my world, it's Matt time.
Well, we should mention, I mentioned the Iowa Business Report. That's something you do down there, and it is fascinating, I think, because of the way you focus on the ag sector business. And I think that it's something I grew up as a kid, even the large metro radio stations and television stations talk to ag stuff. No one does anymore. And I think it's important that we have that there. So I recommend people following you on that as well.
Well, I appreciate that. We cover a variety of things, all manner of business. But again, we're in the Midwest, and you may not know this, but the largest sector of Iowa's gross domestic product is manufacturing, not agriculture. However, how many of those manufacturing operations would not exist if not for agriculture, biofuel facilities, et cetera, et cetera. So it is all interconnected. And as you know, I know nothing about agriculture. I nothing.
I know.
Okay, so
it's a plant, corn comes from
I have finally, at this advanced age, I've been able to drive down the road and say, oh, now that's corn. That over there must not be corn. I'm going to go with soybeans. Just taking a guess. That's the length and breadth of my knowledge. But that is why I'm here. And with the if people are watching on whatever you're on, Facebook, I don't know what this is.
On all of them, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Yes, apparently so.
Well, look at you, a little junior Tucker Carlson. But you can see my official radio station banner in the background. Like 900 logos that are just there as eye candy because I can't carry it alone.
Well, thank God consolidation hit radio. Anyway,
exactly it. Thank goodness for big business in the FCC. Anyway.
So,
yes,
I will let you go on out. I was up in Duluth yesterday. I was at UMD with orientation day for my daughter to go to college up there. I was keeping track.
You were in Miami. I thought you were in Miami as a special witness. Your social media said you were going to Miami. I took that seriously.
Well, it's Miami of Ohio. No.
So Duluth, because it's not cold enough for your daughter in the Twin Cities. Okay.
Oh, it was 82. It was gorgeous yesterday. But I'm up there and I'm watching this as it came through. And it's an Arrested Development episode. I mean, everything is. I mean, the picture of that bathroom looks like Job should be in there with Franklin the puppet. I mean, it's he's admitted to the crime. He's on tape admitting to the crime. He's on tape acknowledging that these weren't declassified. He's on tape basically showing people these things. He's proudly admitted doing it, and now he says he's not guilty. It just, your thoughts on what unfolded yesterday?
Well, I tried not to pay much attention to it for reasons that are pretty obvious. I mean, I don't need another O.J. Simpson slow speed Bronco chase going to and from a federal courthouse, yet that's what we wound up getting. Any federal crime, you go in, you're arraigned, you leave. Okay. I mean, there was nothing about yesterday other than the fact that no former president had ever been arraigned on federal felony charges. Okay, that's the hook, and I get that. I did a rant earlier this week, and I don't know how well it was received by some, but what I basically said was, I don't want to hear a thing about what Biden did or Clinton did, either Clinton or Obama, because it has nothing to do with the criminal charges. And people need to, rank and file individuals listening or watching this thing unfold, they need to understand that, as opposed to the conflation of this. We've talked before, and this was an old law school phrase: when the facts are with you, argue the facts. When the law is with you, argue the law. And when neither is with you, yell like hell. And Donald Trump is yelling like hell. Yeah. And the analogy that I have drawn is, let's say that you come back to visit Iowa, but you're driving your Rudy Luther vehicle with Minnesota plates. You see how I got the sponsor in? Wasn't that good? Okay.
A fine Sienna.
Not my first day. Okay, so you're going back through Ames on US Highway 30, and you have Minnesota plates. 3 cars around you have Iowa plates. You're all speeding. The police officer is running radar, but he only arrests you because you have out-of-state plates. And you say, what about all those other people? They were just as bad as I was. Some of them were worse. And the answer is, they may have been, but it has nothing to do with your guilt or innocence on that speeding charge. And it's the same thing here. You cannot go into court and say, well, nobody prosecuted Hillary, so I thought I could get away with it. That's not how this works. Well, and there have been some folks in Trump world. The former chief of staff, John Kelly, has said that Trump is scared blankless because this is how, and you can tell that because of the reaction. The reaction is way over the top, which says he's really concerned about it. The more he tells you it's nothing to worry about, the more he's worried about it.
And I'll just bring up, and your analogy is spot on, but I will also bring up, Hillary Clinton was investigated 8 times for Benghazi. They found nothing. 3 times for the Clinton Foundation. They found nothing. 4 times before he started chanting, lock her up, and they found nothing. Then Jeff Sessions investigated her in 2017, found nothing. The State Department investigated her in 2019, and they found nothing. It's not as if they haven't tried. But the reality is, I think that when you look at Trump and his supporters especially, they're just so desperate because they just don't want to admit that the cantaloupe is rotten. So they basically will sit there and scream how, oh, Hillary Clinton emails, even though she's been investigated 6 times on them and they haven't found anything. They just,
well, you've got to remember, I mean, Comey got up and said she probably did wrong, but no prosecutor would take the case. And again, I don't care about any of that. None of that makes any difference.
But and you're right, Comey. But then they did investigate her again, and then again, and they found nothing. They did not charge her with the whole thing. What was it, Matt Gaetz the other day saying, "Oh yeah, our expert testimony. He's just basically talking about an allegation, but we want to investigate the allegation." Well, that's not why you bring people in to testify as allegations. I make an allegation that Matt Gaetz is an idiot. That you don't bring me into Congress to talk about it. You know,
they really should. They really should. You'd take the kids. It'd be a nice trip to the nation's capital. You'd get a tour. You know, it'd be great.
Your point is it's not that anyone else was speeding. It's that the guy that was pulled over for speeding, looking at everyone else driving the speed limit and saying, why aren't you going after them? And that's Trump. That's a better analogy because he's just frantically saying, I mean, no one else is breaking the law like he is. He's bragged about it when the cop pulls him over in Iowa. He looks as like, wasn't I going really fast, officer? That's the first thing I know.
Well, and what I'm doing is saying, okay, to all of those who say there was wrongdoing by all these Democrats. Okay, let's just assume that is all true. It doesn't matter in the criminal case. The fact that the other people haven't been charged doesn't mean a thing in a criminal case where conviction of any one of the counts is essentially a life sentence for a 77-year-old man.
Your thoughts on them moving into Miami? I think he was absolutely trying to even further get away from Washington D.C. when he took the grand jury down in Miami, because and kind of in Trump's turf to basically do this. And it sounds like there wasn't even a blinking of the eye on that grand jury in the indictment.
Well, you have to understand, in any grand jury situation, the prosecutor presents light most favorable to the prosecutor. The defense has the opportunity sometimes, if they are given notice, to provide rebuttal, but they never do. The fact that there's an indictment there, yes, that's of some note. But here's the thing: the fact that they and I would like to think this did not cross their minds. But to have it filed outside of Washington, because what do all of those on the far right say? Can't get a fair trial in Washington, all part of the swamp, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, then we'll go to Florida. Is that part of the swamp? I think that's a red state these days. So if there's an indictment of the grand jury in the state of the guy's residence, which actually is the best place because that's where the documents were.
Yes.
But they could have filed it other places. And I would tell you this much. If there, for whatever reason, was not an indictment in a grand jury in Florida, there would have been in Washington. And I just wonder if they are going to hold off on Washington right now. You can hold that grand jury in abeyance and see what happens in Florida, because it's not double jeopardy. If he is acquitted in Florida, if the charges are dismissed in Florida, you could file similar charges in Washington, not double jeopardy, because it's a different location of documents, different site for the whole the crimes that are alleged.
The Republicans immediately came out and was trying to defend him. The first thing I said is, guys, I mean, the pictures, usually sometimes there's always one or two things that become really hard to argue. And in Minnesota, you had Tom Emmer, Pete Stauber come on out and immediately, that this is innocent. This is political theater. And the first thing I said is, have you seen the picture of the bathroom in the ballroom? Because I think we both can make the argument that those pictures really were, I mean, if that's really how these things were stored, he's done. I mean, you can't argue anyway that our government secrets being stored in that manner is somehow a good way to do it.
Oh, come on, Matt. Who of a certain age hasn't taken reading material into the bathroom to help pass the time?
I love Outside Magazine. It's fantastic. It's got the jumble is a hoot. But
here's the thing. All of those who are saying, you have to listen very closely. Yes, there are some who are saying he's not guilty. The smart ones are saying we need to apply standards uniformly. Now, I'm not ignoring everything you said about prior investigations, but there is a distinction between he's not guilty and we need to apply standards uniformly. There's then the standard that Senator Scott apparently has taken. Apparently, Tim Scott is no longer on the short list to be vice president with Trump because he deviated from the whole list and is now said this is of great concern. And now that we've seen all of this, and so he is the first person of note. Asa Hutchinson already said Trump should drop out of the race, but he said that every 5 minutes when given an opportunity, and I understand that. But as opposed to those candidates who are doubling down and saying, we would pardon Trump if you elect us, DeSantis, Ramaswamy, others. Ramaswamy is now daring everyone to sign an oath saying they would pardon Trump. Well, now Tim Scott, who has been a big Trump supporter, is starting to distance himself. And that's an interesting domino to fall and see if others follow in that way.
And Pence, by the way, has also said he can't defend it. But I mean, Pence was never going to be on that VP shortlist anyway again. But
no, he made that mistake once. He took that thrill ride once and no, he's seasick. He's not taking the tokens and going back.
Who knows about holding a grudge when they wanted to hang you in mass? It's one of those things. It does play out. I mean, there's a lot of questions about this Judge Cannon down in Florida. It sounds like Jack Smith has got plenty of options to get around. I mean, when we had the other case there, she clearly was making obscenely favorable rulings on Trump's behalf. it seems like Jack Smith, and I don't know the intricacies of this. I'll talk a little bit about that with Jack Rice, our our legal guy that's coming in next hour. But are you thinking that this is going to be stymied by her in any capacity, or do you think that this, like I said, is kind of a speed bump issue there?
I don't think it's much of an issue, and you have to be careful if you're the Trump folks. You can't claim in all of these other jurisdictions you have biased judges because they were appointed by Obama or Biden, but then say the judges that you appointed are okay. You've got a duplicitousness. Well, not that that's the first time that an argument would be made that was inconsistent.
Did we just lose him? Oh, there.
No, I'm still there.
We just lost you for a quick second. Go right ahead.
Oh, okay. No, well, it was probably the nefarious people who try to silence. No, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be much of an issue. I mean, yes, she may have issued rulings earlier that were helpful to him. That's not a reason to get rid of her. I think you have to show some real bias. And what would be really interesting is if, in fact, she issues rulings that are not just lockstep in favor of Trump. What is that going to tell you about things in terms of the merits of the actual case?
Well, and I don't think there are sometimes there's nuance with cases. There
Of
just
course.
doesn't this doesn't seem like there's nuance here. I mean, it's there's the guy, there's the body, he's holding the gun's smoking, he's screaming, I shot him, I shot him, I shot him. Okay, we can wrap up this Law and Order episode before we get to the dunks. That's it.
Before the first break. That's great.
Yeah,
If you can,
exactly.
but here's the thing, the Presidential Records Act has not been litigated as fully as it's going to be with this. The Espionage Act of 1917 has not been litigated as fully as it will be with this. And those are some nuances that are going to take some time to examine. And it doesn't matter who the defendant is. This is going to take some time to examine and go through, and the case will be put on hold while each side appeals the ruling, whatever it is, with regard to moving forward. That's what would happen if Matt McNeil were charged. That's what would happen if Jeff Stein was charged. And it's going to happen here. I mean, the prosecutor wants a speedy trial. America would like a speedy trial. Trump would like a delayed trial because he'd like to have it still pending if he is elected president so he can pardon himself and be out of the mess.
Yeah.
And that's not an unreasonable scenario calendar-wise.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's take a break. I'm going to come back. Let's talk about his presidential run here, the impact of that on that. Jeff Stein joining us from somewhere in Iowa, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break. Come on back. The Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Attention all loons. Crooner's Supper Club is hosting the first annual Loons on the Lake Comedy Festival June 21st through 24th with 40 comedians from all across the country entered into a $10,000 comedy competition. See star performances from comedy legend Jimmy Walker from Good Times, Jamie Kennedy from Scream 1 and 2, Erica Rhodes from HBO, and Don McMillan, the PowerPoint comedian from America's Got Talent. Check out the fun at loonsonthelake.com or stop by Crooner's off Moore Lake and Highway 65. That's June 21st through 24th. loonsonthelake.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
I'm Elizabeth Sullivan.
And I'm Kelly Wagner.
Energize yourself with AM 950's new programming block, Sunday Shine Radio, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Sunday Shine Radio radiates wellness, consciousness, and curiosity. Join us for Green Tea Conversations at 10,
Exploring Sovereignty with Elizabeth at 11 a.m.,
and the Being Curious Show at noon. Our lineup focuses on igniting your own self-discovery and personal wellness.
Tune in every Sunday for Sunday Shine Radio from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
and let us guide you on an inspirational journey each week.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 952-946-6205. Jeff Stein joining us, talking about politics here. And Jeff, when you talked about the presidential race there, correct me, do you agree or disagree? Trump will not trust anyone else to pardon him. That is why, even if he is in a jail cell, he will still be running for president of the United States.
Sure. Why would you put your hands or your fate in the hands of anybody else? No, there is no way that he drops out of this race. And the question will be, are Americans ready to elect someone who is not legally able to vote for themselves?
Of course they will, because it's not about.
There you go.
No,
Okay.
no, I've frozen it. I'm moving again. It was a lot of the food and but I mean, it is interesting because I do look at the whole thing and I say, here he is, and you would think to yourself, I mean, I know a lot of Republicans who have jumped ship, but he's still going to win the nomination if he's on the ballot, because there are still so many people with him that they'll look at him, and even if he's guilty, they've just already convinced himself it's made up, it's a lie, it didn't happen, even though he admitted to doing it. They don't care. And, I mean, I don't see how he is not still the nominee.
Well, there are a few things. The first test in Iowa is not until either late January or early February. Date is still a little fungible. Then you've got New Hampshire in February. So in other words, we're 8 months away, and a lot can happen in that period of time. At the moment, his diehards are thrilled with the prospect of him being the martyr, and that's why his poll numbers keep going up. But when you start to actually have people in a straw poll, potentially, certainly when you get to caucuses or primaries, how many of them say one thing but will do another? In other words, if they are asked by a pollster, the reflex is to say, "Oh, absolutely, 110%." If we start seeing more polls that show that this is not impressing independents and electability is an issue, okay. I mean, that's the reason DeSantis is talking about pardoning Trump and any J6 person who in his mind has been railroaded. That's the wide open definition. But that's why he's doing it. It's because he's trying to curry favor and give people another reason to go against Trump and in favor of Trump light.
You're breaking up a little bit here, but I will going to finish up on something completely separate.
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom. He went up on Fox News. He went out and he kind of trounced Hannity on Fox News. He kind of held him back pretty good. He's also introduced a constitutional amendment to fix gun laws in the state. He's really putting a lot of stuff out there. Is Gavin Newsom, I'm starting to really wonder if Gavin Newsom's actually going to put forward a challenge to Biden in this upcoming presidential year.
I say it's 50-50 he challenges him, but what he's really doing is positioning himself if, God forbid, this president cannot run again because they don't want to turn to Kamala. And so, Newsom is a viable alternative who's basically, holding up his hand saying, "I'm here, I'm ready when you need me. If you need me to pitch a scoreless ninth inning, I can do it." So I still don't think he's going to challenge outright, absent some severe degradation of competency by the current president. But I think he's making sure he's ready.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also it's interesting. Kamala Harris, I think a lot of people, I still think more Democrats would want her as the second choice as opposed to a Gavin Newsom. But Tim Walz up here, he kind of put out a little bit of kind of a presidential vibe all of a sudden. You're starting to see some Democrats as well start to go down this path, and I think they're just trying to get their name awareness out there. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think that's absolutely right. But if you take any random poll and 35% would rather vote for RFK Jr. or Marianne Williamson than Biden, what that just simply tells others like Walz or Newsom is, hey, might be an opening here. Better get out there and test the waters, and you can't blame them for that. That's what they want.
Listen to the Jeff Stein interviews on the weekends. Jeff Stein's Iowa Politics Report will get posted a little bit later on. Jeff, I think we'll talk to you in a few weeks. Okay, my friend? Take care.
Take good care, sir.
This is Elizabeth, the host of Exploring Sovereignty with Elizabeth. Each week, our show explores higher consciousness and pathways to freedom with heart-centered thought leaders. We shine a light on your brilliance, what you pay attention to, and how that has supported your process of becoming free from the heavier issues that affect you. There are many pathways to sovereignty. Join us each week as we explore your sovereignty and consider what's your pathway to becoming free. That's Exploring Sovereignty with Elizabeth, Sundays at 11 a.m. or anytime on your favorite podcast app.
The world has changed. Our economy has changed. And now, more than ever, it's important that your retirement savings is set up to generate income, real money in your bank account month after month while still controlling your principal. And that's what we do. We're Ferguson Financial. We set up people for retirement income. Call us today, 888-429-5569, and check out our retirement income program, Sunday mornings at 9.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice weekdays from 8 to 11 on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Stocks finished lower. The Dow down 232 points after the Federal Reserve announced interest rates will hold steady, at least for now.
And there are benefits to that. So that gives us more information to make decisions. We may try to make better decisions. I think it allows the economy a little more time to adapt.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell says they need more proof inflation is going down.
You just aren't seeing a lot of progress over the last year. Headline, of course, inflation has come down materially, but as you know, we look at core as a better indicator of where inflation overall is going. Sufficiently, so I think, what we'd like to see is credible evidence that inflation is topping out and then beginning to come down.
The latest inflation gauge report, producer prices, show inflation pressures continue to ease. A day after former President Donald Trump appeared in federal court in Miami, Attorney General Merrick Garland says his role is to follow the regulations after appointing Jack Smith special counsel.
Mr. Smith is a veteran career prosecutor. He has assembled a group of experienced and talented prosecutors and agents who share his commitment to integrity and the rule of law.
The former president was indicted on 37 felony counts of mishandling classified documents. Damaging winds and possible tornadoes toppled trees, damaged buildings, and blew cars up a highway as powerful storms crossed the south from Texas to Georgia. In Alabama, the Eufaula Police Department said confirmed tornado damage was reported in the city near the Georgia state line. A jury in Oregon says the electric utility Pacific Corp must pay punitive damages for causing devastating wildfires in 2020, on top of an earlier verdict already expected to amount to billions of dollars. Roger Payne, a scientist who spurred a worldwide environmental conservation movement with his discovery whales could sing, has died. He was 88. This is AP News.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/com.
Do you believe in ghosts? Ever wondered if aliens from other planets visit the Earth? Have you ever thought about whether Bigfoot is real? My name is Greg Bakken, and on my new show, Ghostbox Radio, we'll have these conversations about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, or just the unusual, bringing together guests who are experts in these fields. Join me every Sunday at 4 p.m. for Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken on AM 950, even if you're a skeptic.
If you've made the decision to level your home and build new or to renovate, hire Better Futures Minnesota to take it apart by hand. Think before you scrap. Think of the energy and greenhouse gases saved by diverting what can be reused and recycled from the landfill. Better Futures Minnesota can do it for you. Hennepin County residents and public entities, there are funds available to make the environmentally right thing to do comparable to demolition. Check out betterfuturesminnesota.com. That's betterfuturesminnesota.com.
Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood restaurant in the Whittier neighborhood at 26th and Lindale. Nightingale has patio, dining room, and bar seating available. Plus, they still have takeout and delivery. Their menu has lots of delicious options like the famous Nightingale burger and fries, ginger tamari chicken wings, smoked chicken liver pate, and more. They're open from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with their full menu until midnight. So make the friendly neighborhood Nightingale your go-to restaurant in South Minneapolis. Place an order, make a reservation, and more at nightingalempls.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today and widespread smoke with a high near 87. Tonight, cloudy with a low around 62. And Thursday, sunny with a high around 83. From the bright personalities to the bold flavors, 30 Bales in Hopkins is the perfect gathering spot for anyone looking for a taste of the Midwest. Whether you're stopping by for a quick drink or settling in for a leisurely meal, you'll find plenty to love at 30 Bales. Located at 1106 Main Street in Hopkins, more at 30bales.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Wednesday, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Hey, whenever I have questions about the law, there's only one person I call, and that's Jack Rice. Jack Rice Defense. He's the best defense lawyer in Minnesota. He was actually just criminal defense attorney. Jack Rice selected as the 2023 Minnesota Super Lawyer. Nice. And, of course, he is all over TV right now, and he looks great, too, which is just amazing. Couldn't be happier for him. He's out there on a lot of cases. You've been covering a lot of cases on TV right now, right?
Well, it's weird. I mean, I'm busy on my own. That's the thing that's strange. I mean, I just walked out of a courtroom about 10 minutes ago. So as a result of that, it's kind of like I'm working. And so this is one of those things, but I like it. And you're my friend. We've been friends forever. So this is awesome.
I am very grateful. Thank you very much. Because, I mean, when this whole thing came down with Trump, the only person I wanted to talk to about this was you, because you understand the law of all of this. Now, going to what's going on, I mean, there's a lot of experts who are on TV and talking about, oh yeah, this is a slam dunk case. After you've seen the evidence, after all this goes on, do you agree that this is pretty much an open and shut case, that Trump is guilty and it's going to be very difficult for him to get out of this?
I don't believe anything until I see it.
Okay.
And I just don't, because the thing is that what you really want in a case like this is to be as apolitical as possible. But the problem is that we live in a political world, and I'm the political girl. And so as a result of that, it's important that I think what we have to do is let this process work itself out. But Matt, if we think about this in the really broad sense, this is the thing, and this is the part that makes this so scary to me, is that if we think about the criminal justice system, we think about the legal system. The legal system and the criminal justice system is literally what binds a society together, because what it says is that there is a rule, and this rule applies to everybody, and we all sort of lean into it, and that's what sort of keeps us together. But if you look at how the country is saying this, check out some of the numbers. According to a CNN poll, they talked to a large group of people. 60% of all adults thought that the charge was appropriate. 76% agreed that it was political that played a role in it. 31% said the indictment actually strengthened democracy, while another 31% said it weakened it. So if we think about what this means and about the concept of rule of law, this is disastrous, because it sort of represents where we are, where the answer is that it doesn't matter what the law says. It doesn't matter if there is a due process. Apparently, it doesn't even matter if the judge who's overseeing this was a Trump appointee. Now think about that for a second. Mm-hmm. That is an extraordinary indictment at where American society is as it applies to the issue of American jurisprudence.
If we were to take the politics out of this, say this was a corporation, they had secret documents that were not supposed to be shared, and all of a sudden the same evidence came forward, including boxes of the private corporate documents that were not supposed to be shared, stored in a bathroom and in a ballroom and stuff like this. if there was no politics in this, is this, once again, would it be much more of an open and shut case?
This is a strong case.
Okay.
I mean, it truly is. When we take a look at what Special Counsel Jack Smith did and with his team, they were very, very specific about what they were doing. And in fact, this is a 49-page indictment. There are 37 counts. And in fact, it's online. And I would argue that everybody should read this. If anybody's criticizing it, you should read it. If you're not criticizing it and you think it's great, you should also read it, because what this is about is a step-by-step process that showed how Donald Trump, once he left office, he had documents that he admits to knowing were not classified. He also knows that the U.S. government had the right to those documents, that same U.S. government organization came to him and said, we want those documents back. And then Donald Trump hid them, lied to the FBI, even went to his own lawyers and said, can't you just take out some of the really bad stuff and just pluck them out?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're seeing here is very specific information, including photographs, including really specific pieces that really support an extraordinarily strong indictment. It truly does.
You also are an expert in the clandestine services and secret intelligence agencies. Can I bring up this point as well? When they describe this stuff, it's not like there's one big file cabinet in the White House. It would seem to me that there was a concentrated effort to consolidate very specific pieces of classified information that came from multiple different areas. I mean, that's the other side of this, which is really ugly, that this was not just, oh, here are some extra boxes. What do we do with them? Oh, those had the classified documents in them. These things are not stored in the same place in similar. There was an effort to basically consolidate this before it was taken down to Mar-a-Lago.
Well, it's also interesting, because if we think about what was described in this indictment, it would not surprise me if everything that was found was not included, because there may be some things that were found that were so ultra sensitive that they were refusing to even acknowledge them in a public indictment. And so they would exclude them for that reason. I mean, when you think about where these came from, CIA, NSA, DOD, Department of Defense, State Department, Department of Energy, the list goes on and on and on. And this goes everything from secret to top secret to something called SCI, which means sensitive compartmented information. What we have are three levels, really more than three, but three levels of classified documents: confidential. And usually what will happen is, if you join the military, for instance, Matt, and I know you remember this, as soon as you join, you get that confidential clearance.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get that secret clearance, and sometimes it can go up from there. When you get to top secret, you're looking at really, really sensitive stuff. But above that, what SCI material means is very specific information that's designed for very specific eyes. So in other words, if you don't need it, you don't get access. So for instance, I had access to a lot of things when I worked for the Central Intelligence Agency. I still never saw everything.
Yeah.
The problem that we have here, though, Matt, is that as President of the United States, presidents have access to literally the top end of intelligence, and sometimes even including the actual sources of those documents. So in other words, you were able to convince X agent who is located in this space to give this piece of evidence to you. And so what a president has the potential of doing, if they wanted to do something terrible, is to do about the worst thing that can possibly happen in the United States. And some of these documents are truly, truly terrible. And that's one of the problems that I think the intelligence community, the Defense Department, and others are really wringing their hands over, because he actually had them, he was hiding them, and he was lying about it. And if I might add, there's a lot of people who've talked about Hillary Clinton. They've talked about Joe Biden when he was vice president or when he was in the Senate. They've talked about Mike Pence when he was vice president. They had classified information. Why is it that Donald Trump is being treated unfairly? Why are they charging him? Here is the reason. We also know that Donald Trump handed back an enormous amount of documentation. He wasn't charged with any of that. None of that came as a result of charges. What he was charged with was the information that he kept and then lied about and then hid and then tried to get one of his employees to move around and even shared with people who weren't authorized to see it.
Mhm.
And so all of that's in the indictment.
Jack Rice, jackricelaw.com is where you'll find him. Let's go back to that element of it, because I did have a security clearance when I was in the military. And I can't even comprehend the level of security clearance you have to see some of this stuff. It was stored. I mean, the photos do a lot of speaking for it. In the bathroom, in the ballroom. Should be mentioned that these weren't secure areas. Should be mentioned that Trump was trying to get an extension to where he could hire 400 foreign workers to work at Mar-a-Lago. This wasn't, I mean, this is, as the joke was made earlier in the show, this wasn't exactly, a Tom Clancy novel. This is, basically I've got a minimum wage job. I can go in there and just peruse all these boxes of secrets. I mean, that's the thing which is egregious. I mean, quite literally anyone could have had access to these secrets. As much as he tries to say it's a secure area, there was no security at all.
That's really the problem, Matt, because when we think about accessibility, what we're really thinking about is this. If I'm a foreign intelligence service, whether it's the Chinese, whether it's FSB, the Russians, whether it's DGSE, whether it's the French, I mean, whether it's anybody, the thing is that what happens is the U.S. does a lot of things against a lot of people because our interest is ours. Now, some of these people are our friends and some of these people are not our friends, but we don't have friends. We have interests.
Yes.
And so as a result, we do a lot of things. And some of that information is never supposed to get out to anybody. The problem that you have here is that controlling classified information means making sure you know exactly where it is and who has access to it. And so when you have boxes of this stuff just tossed in a bathroom someplace and you can't control who has access, you don't know who even got in there and got out. And so you don't know if this is compromised or not. You have no idea. But the worst part is that you almost have to assume that everything that was taken from the White House and left in these various places, and then again, hiding it along the way, you almost have to assume that it was.
Yeah.
Now, understand what that does to the operations that are ongoing, but understand what it also means right now when there's a whole bunch of people around the world watching this from afar saying, hold on a second, I might hypothetically have been approached by an American official or an American operative or an American intelligence officer, and they want me to do something. And I should do it. Why? When you look at where this classified information has ended up and the willingness of half of the United States to say, no harm, no foul. Well, guess what? In some parts of the world, if I do some of the things that may be asked of me, hypothetically, not only do I die, they kill everybody in my entire extended family. So think about what that means. This is so much bigger than Donald Trump. I mean, it just is. It's so much bigger than one dude. It's about how you move forward when one dude or one individual of any kind does something stupid.
You and I talked about when Dick Cheney outed Valerie Plame and the impact crater that left within the intelligence agency. That was one individual. These are boxes and boxes. And once again, some of this stuff on foreign governments, which means that, like you said, you got to presume it's all out there. And if someone does get that information, they'll be able to track it back to exactly who got that information to us.
See, that's the bottom line when it comes to this, Matt. And I appreciate talking to you because we've done this so long together as we think about it. When we look at intelligence and we look at sometimes raw intelligence, and what I mean by raw intelligence is actually the piece of information that they receive. Because what you'll find is in the intelligence business, you'll get a piece of intelligence and then you turn that over to an analyst that can say, what does this piece of intelligence mean? The thing is the president has access to both. And so what can happen is if you have a piece of intelligence, the potential with somebody in the right hands can say, okay, this applies in my country or in some other country I'm interested in. Remember, the Chinese and everybody else, they're not just interested in what's going on in China. They're interested in everybody, just like we are.
Mm-hmm.
And so what the potential is you have the ability to track a piece of intelligence sometimes back to its original source, not just country-wise, not just region-wise, not just particular topics, but to actual individuals. And now let's imagine what you can do with that. If it's your country, you can take those people down and everybody along with them. How about this?
Mm-hmm.
If you're another intelligence service, you track those people down and you turn them. And you turn them for your benefit, certainly not to the U.S.'s benefit, because we would do the same thing. And now they could be feeding us something else and giving them everything that they need, because these people will say, guess what? We know about you. And guess what you're going to do for us? Frankly, anything that we want.
Going back, one last question for you on the legal side of this. Obviously, Trump, his whole goal is to basically postpone this as much as possible. So I imagine everything he's going to appeal to the Supreme Court. And I imagine one or two of these will take some time to get to the Supreme Court. But doesn't it eventually, to prevent this sort of thing from happening all the time, the Supreme Court and the appeals courts as well just rule very quickly and just say, no, we see the game you're playing. We're going to have an instantaneous ruling. And so it may delay things a day or two, but not the months that it would do if he was, on one or two things going up to the Supreme Court.
It's a wonderful question. We started this conversation, you and I, about the idea of politics and politics in the legal system. And I think when you realize where we are right now, a lot of people have really started to question the viability and true independence of the U.S. Supreme Court. And they really are the final arbiter of what the law is. This goes all back to Marbury versus Madison. This is how the U.S. government works. The problem that we have noticed is we have seen the overturning of precedent and the willingness of some, at least it appears to be, within the U.S. Supreme Court to actually go a particular direction. And so the fear among some is that what you're going to see is a potential conservative majority. And by the way, it's not just a 5-4 majority. It's actually quite a bit more than that. It's more of a 6-3. What you're seeing is the fear that you may not get that arbiter that's truly as independent as they once were. Again, take a look at the numbers, 31-31 about strengthening and weakening democracy. What happens if you get a Supreme Court who's more than willing to step up and do exactly what it is that a particular political affiliation would desire?
We're going to be talking about this. This court case is going to go on for a long time, and I imagine we'll have you back on the air to talk about it, especially if there's any breaking news on this. But once again, if this was not political, that this would they even go to court? I imagine they'd plead it out. It would be so much evidence against the individual. But as you said, politics.
They would plead this out.
Yeah.
They would plead. I mean, let's be clear. They would plead this out because we can look at what it is that happened. Several of these charges, by the way, which is ironic, several of these charges were actually misdemeanors at one point. It was Donald Trump himself who drove and campaigned on the issue of making these felonies because he was trying to beat the drum to prosecute a couple of people who had misplaced or misused documents. And he wanted to make the point that the intelligence community and the U.S. government was weak. And so they made these things felony. And now those felonies are actually being used against him for the very same reason. So it's ironic, interesting, and here we are.
Well, and if I can ask, do you think his co-conspirator on this will flip on him?
Oh God, yes. I mean, remember, he had an employee. This is his valet, who he actually, and this is all documented. That's the thing that's amazing about this. Really, if you haven't read the 49 pages, it's not that complicated. I mean, take your time and just read through it. A lot of it is just really laid out simply. It's very specific to what he did. His co-conspirator, his valet, is just this poor guy who was doing what his boss told him to do, like many people probably would do. And frankly, this guy is now facing a federal indictment himself. And the idea of saying, you know what, we really don't want you. We want your boss. This is not something that you're doing because it's uniquely Donald Trump. This happens in every conspiracy case on the planet, from simple drug cases to anything more complex than that. Think of the mob. think of anything else that's ever been done that's even slightly complex. You always fight your way and chew your way up the chain. And this is simply what we're talking about.
JackRiceLaw.com. That's JackRiceLaw.com. That's where you'll find Jack Rice Defense. He's the best defense attorney in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Also, just really quick, when's your next TV hit?
Oh, I don't know. No, that's not true. That's not true. I'm on Court TV tomorrow afternoon, I think.
All right. Make sure you're watching Court TV tomorrow afternoon for Jack Rice there and his great insight on those cases too. Jack, an absolute privilege to have you on the show. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Always a fan. You know that.
I'm a huge fan of yours. Thank you very much, Jack. I really appreciate the time. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
New at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Kuma wood stoves and fireplace inserts. American-made, sturdy and efficient wood heaters. All models qualify for 30% tax credit you can earn for installing efficient and renewable wood heat. Come see the new wood-burning Kuma stoves and fireplace inserts.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has been selling wood-burning products since 1977. Kuma wood burners are hard-working home heaters made from heavy laser-cut steel. Kuma stoves and fireplace inserts have cast iron doors and large self-cleaning glass windows. You can see the firelight and feel the heat from their efficient fire. One of Woodland's many choices to make fire work for you and your home.
Work with the chimney and installation experts. They not only install, but will guide you if you want to install yourself. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services.
Is your remote workforce putting your company at risk? Cyber criminals are targeting your employees with COVID-19 inspired emails and attacking businesses like yours. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. Rymark has the tools and expertise to enable your employees to work securely from home. If you need help getting your staff to work remotely and securely, call 651-328-8900 or go to rymarkit.com. That's 651-328-8900 or rymarkit.com.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. My show is better with Jack Rice on it. It is that simple. My show is better with Jack Rice on it. God, his insight grid. And by the way, have you heard anyone talk about this from the spy agency side? That every one of those documents where we have intelligence that we gathered on the ground in a foreign country has to be presumed that they've been compromised. And how many assets did we just lose worldwide because these other governments that said, what do you mean they knew about our nuclear program, would be able to track it back to who blabbed to the United States? That's courtesy of Donald Trump. He got a lot of people probably killed. I mean, that's that. Gosh, there's a lot about this. But thank you very much to Jack. Hey, this feels like the old Mike Douglas show where we have a surprise guest stop on by. Greg Bakken is here. Of course, if you don't know, Ghost Box Radio airs on Sunday at 4 o'clock and then replays on Saturday in the evening at 8 p.m. Greg, thanks for stopping by today. It's good to see you, my friend.
Hey, it's good to see you too. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. What do you? Okay, is it now? Now we're past Halloween. We're out of October, and this is it more since it's like pet season. We are more into Bigfoots and stuff like that. Is that kind of where your focus is?
I'll tell you, that's a great point because I just got back from Louisville and did some squatching.
In Louisville, Kentucky?
In Louisville, Kentucky, absolutely.
In the city itself?
Well, so outside
Okay.
there is a like a suburb called West Point, and it was a city that was very active during the Civil War. So you have an earthen fort there called Fort Duffield.
Okay.
And it's a big park. It was actually part of Fort Knox.
Okay.
And Fort Knox annexed that land and went back to the city, and now it's going to be reused as like a trail, a place. It's going to be used for paranormal investigations. But we went there with the people who are running it, and we did some squatching that night.
Okay, so this is like a twofer. You're double dipping here because
Absolutely.
So the ghost. Let's go back to the ghost side of this. I mean, was it a major battle scene? I mean, there wasn't, but was there fighting there?
There was skirmishes. There was skirmishes there. Matter of fact, where we're staying, our friends up the road, they have a house that was built in 1841, and it was actually a Civil War hospital.
Wow.
So you go there, you're hearing stuff. We saw stuff in the house we're staying in, and Fort Duffield itself never saw any battle. And it was, like I said, it was an earthen fort. So it had 17-foot high, like mounds of dirt that created the walls, some buildings inside of it. But other than that, it was just this big fort that no one ever got near it. No one ever got near it. It was the Confederates never got near it.
It was a Union. I mean,
it was Union
because
yes.
there are some on the southern side of Missouri, particularly that were you'd be surprised how far north the Confederacy went there. But okay, so this was the Union side of it. But okay, so now it's the area is completely overgrown now.
They did trim it,
okay.
but there's a ton of trees, a ton of woods all around it.
Okay.
And like a lot of these forts, like Fort Knox, you have a buffer of forest.
Yeah.
So that's still there, and it's still all around. And West Point itself is a very, very old city. Very old town, and so you have the Ohio River and you have the Salt River, and that's where the two connect, is right around there.
Okay.
So it's a very old place that for a while, even West Point itself was kind of run down a little bit because apparently the mayor was kind of taking the money and not really putting anything back into the city. They got a new mayor.
How Vlad Putin of him.
Right, exactly. Money for the mayor, not the people. Yes.
Well, okay, so is there been a record? Obviously, you don't just I don't just go over to the Mall of America and go squatching here because there could be one here. I mean, you have to have a place where there's actually been reports of squatches.
Yeah, no,
okay.
we there wasn't.
But
the people we were with, Denise and Ernie, they were like, well, let's go here. We went there to go try to speak to spirits, but then we started to hear a lot of like branches and trees breaking and falling down, and then we saw stuff what they call eye shine. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Where you can see their eyes, and it's not like lightning bugs or anything. And at one point we were like walking down this hill, and what we ran into was we could hear something moving, and when we would move more, it would move with us.
Oh, that's not good.
We'd stop and you'd hear
I mean, I just want to say this for the record. Even if it's just like a cougar or a black bear, that's not a good thing. They're kind of tracking you.
Well, it's so funny because all I thought was like, it must be like a Sasquatch. And then someone yesterday said, or a bear.
It
was like, yes, you're very right about that.
Was the bear or Sasquatch wearing a Union outfit?
Well, if it was Confederate, then I would have been toast. So
Confederate Sasquatches.
What a great movie title, Confederate Bear.
No, don't. I saw a cocaine bear. Do not give them any more ideas. But you okay, let me ask you this.
Sure.
With the eye shine thing you're talking about.
Yes.
Did it ever get pretty high in the air to where you're like, okay, that's not a cougar, that's not a coyote.
Absolutely.
It was how high up was the eyes?
Probably about 7.5 feet, 8 feet. Something like that.
Because that's not black bear then.
No, absolutely not. And it would be different colors. So like they were green, red. And it was, and I'm kind of conflating two stories because we went 2 nights. And the second night we went to which is really fun to say, an undisclosed location, because they don't want to share where it is because it's so much. And I have pictures I should show you of trees being bent.
Okay.
And not broken, but bent. And they were recent because the leaves at the end of the tree are still alive.
Okay.
And those are.
I just saw that myself driving up to Duluth. We saw where some trees had come down and they were still green. I said that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. And that's if it's wind, it's probably going to break it.
Yes.
And it would probably break from top.
Yes.
But this is at the base. And then I have pictures of more trees that were bent and as into a joist, like a Y, like another tree is like turned into a Y. And then that other, that bent trunk goes right in the middle to create almost like a little nest.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Okay. And this is the undisclosed location?
This was the undisclosed location, and that was in another state.
I do not want to go to the undisclosed location with you. That doesn't sound cool.
Come on.
Although it could be Trump just trying to find new places to store his boxes.
Well, it can't because none of it's gold. It needs to be gold.
Be a chandelier. If you're walking through the forest, I was like, what's with the chandelier? Oh my God, look at all these boxes of classified documents. What's going on here? Okay, so that's creepy. When was the last time you got up into the North Country, northern Minnesota? Anything for looking for squatches or anything like that up there?
I should.
Yeah.
An active location, though, not necessarily up as high as you're talking, but like Reamer, Minnesota. They can.
Where's that?
It's further up from what is one of the casinos on the way?
Hinckley, Grand Casino in Hinckley.
It's further up from there, so
Okay.
it's not all the way up, but it is definitely. They call themselves the home of Bigfoot.
Okay.
So I doubt that there's Bigfoot there, though people have said that it is. You go up there for Bigfoot days, and they're selling literally whoopee cushions with Bigfoot on it.
Okay,
that's I don't know how that keeps the movement going, but whatever.
They prank them, because that's you're pranking.
Just like those Jack Links commercials,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it is. Yeah. Okay. Are you touching on any of this on Saturday or Sunday show?
We did last Sunday, as it happens. Yeah, we talked a little bit about it.
What creepy stuff do you have this Sunday?
This Sunday, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out because we're getting ready for another trip out to Kansas and somewhere in Missouri. I'm going to hit 4-5 locations in like 4 days.
I think you and I need to go squatching at Manny's Steakhouse and go find. I think because you never know. And well, since we're there, I mean, might as well.
I mean, I'm partial to a nice medium rare steak.
Okay,
yeah.
We've got a plan. That's kind of my kind of squatching. That's my kind of squatching right there. Nice and comfortable zone. And the Twins game, you say? All right, let's go. Off we go. Greg, once again, your show is on Sundays 4 to 5. The replay comes up at 8 p.m. on Saturday. Thanks for stopping on by, my friend.
Well, thank you for having me. I love it.
Okay. Yeah, anytime. I love chatting with you, man.
Great.
It's good stuff. Let's take a break. When we come on back, more of the show here, the final half hour, when we do return, 952-946-6205, the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Paul Metza. Thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour for the last 5 years on AM 950. We air every Saturday night at 6 p.m. We have artists, musicians, private detectives, politicians, and more. On AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation.
Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything
except your intelligence.
Coming up, can art save us?
You really think movies are going to solve climate change?
I don't know, Ray. Haven't you seen An Inconvenient Truth?
Haven't you seen all those gas-guzzling cars in the Fast and the Furious? That's what people are actually watching.
That truth is a bit inconvenient.
Can art save us? Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Philosophy Talk, every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 950.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today and widespread smoke with a high near 87. Tonight, cloudy with a low around 62. And Thursday, sunny with a high around 83. From the bright personalities to the bold flavors, 30 Bales in Hopkins is the perfect gathering spot for anyone looking for a taste of the Midwest. Whether you're stopping by for a quick drink or settling in for a leisurely meal, you'll find plenty to love at 30 Bales. Located at 1106 Main Street in Hopkins, more at 30bales.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's a Matt McNeil show. I am actually pulling up the cameras on MnDOT. Holy God, man. I'm looking at the camera on 394 Penn Avenue. You can barely see the downtown down there. It's smoky out there, and it has the smell of smoke, too. I mean, you are jerkified. You go outside for too long. Yeah, it looks like a fog. But I guarantee you the news media won't cover this because it's not New York City happening in it, too. You know. Hey. Here it is. It's bad. I was about to when I first got here to the station, I was actually going to message my kid's soccer coach today. They're supposed to play a soccer game. It's supposed to be at 87 degrees. They're a man down. They have no subs. And apparently it's like I'm driving in. It's like, you're going to play out here in the Jazz Lounge? I mean, no. That is not going to happen. That is not a good idea. And they did indeed. It sounds like, not just them, but multiple other people have postponed and canceled things too. I'm looking at the camera. This is camera at 52 at St. Paul. You can't see downtown St. Paul on that camera. Wow. Be careful out there. You got one of those respiratory things. You got one of those breathing things. You got to be careful out there because that is nasty. 952-946-6205, 946-6205. So conservatives love to scream about, there was a crime that happened in Minneapolis. It makes Minnesota look bad. Crime is bad. I think we can all agree on that. But one of the things I find to be the most hypocritical is that there is a ton of crime that happens that does not involve the inner city of Minneapolis. It doesn't involve black people, as Republicans like to hyper focus on. It involves actually white suburban guys cheating a heck of a lot of people out of some money. And in this case, $600,000, a much higher fee, a penalty, and nationwide. If you want to sit here and start getting upset about crime that makes Minnesota look bad, you need to look no further than Charles Edward Fields, innocent until proven guilty. I'll give that. But a Blaine man has been indicated on a federal charges in connection with an alleged scheme to defraud hundreds of job seekers across the country. Hundreds. The U.S. Department named Charles Edward Fields, 43, he's charged with 5 counts of wire fraud. According to the news release from the Office of U.S. Attorney Andrew Luger, Fields allegedly ran a scheme through several businesses, including WaterTech, Mile High, H2O, Water Innovations Group, and others. Federal prosecutors allege Fields would recruit sales contractors to sell home security and water filtration systems, but only after the applicants paid upfront for a deposit. On this, prosecutors also allege that Fields misrepresented an affiliation with the major international water and filtration company. This does not do what this guy did justice. Kara Levin actually has a story about this guy from 2019, which kind of makes me wonder why this took so long to get the indictment against him. He basically started off, and there is a legitimate water filtration system that ionizes water, and it's a legitimate company that does this. And do they name the company here? That actually, was putting out. No, I don't think they do in the story, the Care 11 story. But there's a legit company that makes this water filter. Okay, it's an ionized thing. It's expensive, but it supposedly makes your water better. He was at one point, I guess, an authorized agent for this company to sell them. What this guy, the allegations are, the allegation is that basically he would contact, he'd put an ad on like Craigslist saying, would you like to make $4,000 a month? And someone would say, yes, I would like to make $4,000 a month. And they would contact him and he would say, hey, you can be one of my sales agents for this water filtration system. And they'd say, great. Now, what he would then say is, well, you have to buy one to see it before you can become an authorized sales agent. And they'd say, fine. Now, this thing apparently costs like $5,000. That's at least, if I remember correctly, the Care 11 story pointed out. So he's telling people that wanted to be salespeople for him that they had to buy one of these $5,000 things. But once you bought it, basically, you can use it for yourself. And then basically, you know how the product works, and then you can sell them yourself. The company that makes the water filtration system got wind that he was doing this, and that's incredibly unscrupulous. You shouldn't be doing that. If you want to get a job doing sales for someone, you should not necessarily have to pay $5,000 for equipment before you start selling them. That's your first sign that something is really wrong. And granted, and once again, a lot of people got taken advantage by this guy. That was the case. Anyway, the company that sees that makes the water filtration system got wind that this guy was doing it. I think under WaterTech was one of the first companies. But he didn't stop doing this. By the way, so he'd require you to pay $5,000 for this water filtration system. He would then not send you the water filtration system, and then basically said that, that you're not going to get the money back, and he would always create a whole bunch of excuses. He did this until basically things got so bad for his first company, he one day canceled that company, started a new company. I don't know what the second one was. Was it that Mile Higher HTO or Water Services or whatever the case may be? Started that company at the same exact address with the same exact name, Charles Fields, but basically said the other company didn't exist while defrauding all the people that had signed up with the first company. He then goes on to basically do the same thing with this second group of people, allegedly. Basically saying, you need to send me $5,000. I'll send you this water filtration thing. He doesn't send him the water filtration thing. And basically, avoids them paying him back the $5,000. He then, that company gets into trouble. Then he kills that company one day and starts another company at the same exact address, doing the same thing again. At the same time, there are people across the country who are sending him $5,000. Now, once again, I want to remind people the amount of money that he is alleged to have stolen and defrauded from 250 people nationwide is $600,000. That would imply, if he's guilty of the allegations, that he was doing this with aplomb. I mean, he was absolutely defrauding people with intent left and right. And back in 2019, Lou Ragoose over there at 11 tried to interview him, tried to track this guy down. He even set up a time for an interview with him, and he did not show up. But they did show a picture of this guy. Oh, you can smell the douchiness off this guy. I mean, he has all the looks of the guy that's already figured out who he's going to try to roofie. At least that's what he looks like. I mean, he has the appearance of something like that. He's dude, brah, dude, brah, dude. One of those guys. Yeah. What a shock. I know. One of those guys was not being honest. Dude, brah, dude, brah, dude. Yeah, that guy. So now, once again, This is horrible. This is a horrible story. And if the allegations are true, lock this guy up for life, which probably in this modern day society, since he was white and it was a white collar crime, but he still sold $600,000 if he's found guilty, that would be looking at, probably 2 years at a minimum security facility. I'm going to guess. Court documents claim Fields promised online applicants special training, thousands of dollars, and guaranteed monthly salary, but when make up excuses why the necessary equipment never arrived and why he couldn't return the deposits. KARE 11 investigated, talked to Fields' victims in the 2019 report. I was supposed to get a base salary of $4,000 a month, said Kevin Malway of Kansas City, Missouri. The thing that drew me in was the salary position instead of commission only, said Val Pedroza of Henderson, Nevada. It was very interesting in the guaranteed salary, said a Florida woman who asked that her name not be used. They tried to attempt to interview Fields in 2019. In 2019, he sent KARE 11 a notice after he bailed on an interview. He's making progress or is taking care of all the parties we owe anything to. How many times have we had this story? White person in suburbia or rural parts of the state goes out there, and because they're trying to live a lifestyle, because you got dude, dude, got to do that sort of thing all the time. They basically defraud people, the allegations of defrauding. They've got to do all these things. They got to make sure they push all this crap. And then in turn they get caught and they're like, ah! And now you got this investigation. And I guarantee you, this guy has done more damage to the state of Minnesota with his actions than any crime that happens in Minneapolis. My guess, not a single Republican will cover this crime. I guess is not, because for them, crime doesn't happen unless it's not a white guy in the suburbs. That's just, Matt, come on, Matt. Don't you get it? Here's a guy who just wants to be rich, man. Why are you vilifying him? Don't you want to be rich? He's trying to make a buck, and you're vilifying him just because he wanted to make his life better. Come on, Matt. Yeah. This guy, like I said, innocent until proven guilty, and the way I described him was only how it seems like he is. I have no idea who he is. I don't know. Maybe he's a real Christian guy who's possibly doing all this stuff. I don't know. But what I will say is this. This is a $600,000 crime being alleged. $600,000. Defrauding people, many of them lower income people, nationwide. Throw the book at this guy if he's guilty. Throw the book at him. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
Hi, I'm Kelly Tanky.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
Tune in to AM 950's newest show, Searching for Service, a show designed to help current and future Rotarians find purpose through service.
We are dedicated to sharing stories, experiences, and opportunities for those searching for purpose, value, and meaning.
But more importantly, connection through community. Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. or anytime via podcasts.
It's time to stop searching and start serving.
Hi, Matt McNeil for Rudy Luther Toyota. You've heard me talk about the Rudy Luther Toyota We Buy program. Now hear from someone who's actually done it, me. Our kids' car, the 2006 Toyota Sienna, served us well for 17 years, but it was finally time to say goodbye. The We Buy program is really simple. I gave them some basic information. We set up an appointment, and after a quick verification, they gave me an estimate and a check, and they made me a generous offer. It was that fast. See for yourself. Try the Rudy Luther Toyota We Buy program at rudyluthertoyota.com.
There really is no place like home. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Home Health. When you're faced with an illness or an injury, being able to stay at home and receive care is important. Our home health offers a wide range of services, including skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapies, aides, homemakers, in-home respite care, and 24/7 live-in care. We'll work closely with your primary care provider to come up with an individualized plan for you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Francis Suarez, the Miami mayor, has filed to run for president as a Republican. 45-year-old Cuban-American elected overwhelmingly as mayor of Miami is presenting himself as a fresh Republican face, but faces allegations of influence peddling. The Republican field has grown to nearly a dozen hopefuls at this point. God, this is getting to be a mess. Suarez is known little outside of the state, and he's facing emergency allegations of influence peddling on behalf of real estate development company. Suarez grew up in Miami politics with his father, Xavier Suarez, serving 2 stints as mayor in the 1980s. Wow. 1980s and 1990s. The elder Mr. Suarez was also elected to the Miami-Dade County Commission, where his terms overlapped with his son's time in office. The younger Suarez served as the Miami City Commissioner before being elected mayor in 2017 with 86% of the vote. In 2021, he was reelected with 79% of the vote. I'm going to just say right off the top there that there's no way this guy is your standard Republican if you're winning a major metropolitan election with those kind of numbers. That you are the Mitt Romney as governor of Massachusetts kind of Republican, where you basically are presenting a very moderate stance on a lot of things. Now, I don't know anything about him. I got to be honest with you. I don't really pay that much attention to Miami. It's in Florida. I avoid the conversation whenever I can. That being said, it's in my news feed way too much as it is. It's like a petulant child that basically, I like candy. Like, I don't need to hear from Florida anymore. Stop it. Shut up. That being said, I'm just presuming, okay, I'm going to evaluate the candidate on the political elements of it. You're a mayor of Miami. You are not going to win over. Good luck in Iowa. You're not going to win. I don't care who you are. You're just a major metropolitan city mayor is not going to do well in any of these, Republican caucuses. They're just not. It also comes back to something I said with Stein a year ago. Can you be from Florida and actually win a national office? I don't think you can. I really don't think you can. When was the last? Have we ever had anyone from Florida as president? No, no one.
I don't think we have. No,
I don't think there has been. And that was before Crazy Town hit that state. Unless we're looking at, getting that murderous clown from that one movie series. No, I don't think we're going to be electing them anytime soon. That's not the broad appeal we're looking for. I will also bring up something about the Republican Party, because remember when we were talking last hour about the Scott County Republicans and their Hitler post, and we should make sure we mention the Republican Party actually had a Secretary of State candidate last year at their convention play an anti-Semitic campaign video, to which they all applauded. They're not real tolerant. I just don't know if you're aware of this right now. They're not really tolerant. And so I'm just presuming that the hope is that he can be running for a vice presidential nod, or maybe something within the administration. But yeah, I don't see does he even make it to Iowa? I don't know. If he does, he's not. I doubt he's making it to New Hampshire. I can't see him having that. And as a matter of fact, that most of the candidates do bail out in that first week anyway. The ones who are getting that 1%. Sometimes it's even ones making more, where they basically they put all their chips in that basket, and when that Iowa corn and pork basket doesn't come back for them, they basically end up having to bail. But I've seen the Republican Party today, and I just do not see how, this is going to be a candidate that resonates with anyone outside of, that element of Florida, the Cuban Americans in Florida that are ruby red Republican. I just, and maybe in Southern Florida, maybe, but where? Texas, they like their Republicans out there. They're not looking for Florida for Republicans. I don't know where he thinks he's going to go, where he's going to pick up traction. I just don't. Native Roots Radio, that's up next. You have a good one. We are back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
Since when are houses disposable?
I know. About half of what's in landfills are building materials that could be reused or recycled.
For the sake of the environment.